At this time, I recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions. Of course, one of the developments with Mr. Gardner's legislation is it creates WTO countries the same as free trade agreement countries. And in your written testimony, you stated that you were concerned that H.R. 6, one of your concerns, that it would leave out public input. And I wanted to just explore that a little bit with you. When DOE made the NERA study available, that study was made available for public comment. And that was kind of the baseline for reviewing these applications. And in yesterday's order on the Jordan Cove project, DOE concluded that NERA's explanation of its modeling design, methodology, and results provided a sufficient basis both for the public to provide meaningful comments and for the department to evaluate NERA's conclusions. And also DOE concluded in this recent order that we are not persuaded that using post-annual energy outlook after post-2011 energy projections, you're not persuaded that anything post-2011 would have materially affected the findings of the LNG export study. So it would appear that the DOE non-FTA filing and application and authorization is just, and since it's just one permitting process because we have to get FERC involved also, it appears to me that your concerns about public input maybe it's not that much of a concern because the NERA study is sort of the baseline anyway, and with the comments that you all made on these recent approvals. So would you agree with me that maybe you're being too concerned about the implications of what you perceive to be lack of public input?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree. The language in our orders can be quite hard to read out loud sometimes. I struggle with it myself. I think there are a couple of pieces to your question, and if I can take them in two. There are a number of aspects that inform our public interest determination. Economic factors being some of them, as framed by the NERA analysis to a great extent, including environmental implications and geopolitical considerations. So the public interest is broader than the economic aspects of it. The other point that I would note is that the comment on, as I understand the legislation, and I'm not intimately familiar with it, it would remove DOE's requirement to conduct a public interest determination. And the public interest determination is the means by which we solicit public input. So it would remove the public's opportunity to provide input on our process. The second piece of your question—
But if you had that public input in the NERA study, wouldn't that compensate for the lot?
So the NERA study was put out for public comment, and then it is put on the record in each of our subsequent orders. So it applies to each of those orders, and each of the applications and the dockets that are established for them must be given their own individual consideration on a case-by-case basis as established by the statute. Could I answer the second part of your question with regard to the AO?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I believe the reference you're referring to in our order refers to the new information that has been provided. So the NERA analysis was based on the Annual Energy Outlook 2011 as released by EIA.
Right.
In December, EIA released their Annual Energy Outlook 2014, and they do this every year. The information provided therein, particularly with regard to the AO 2014, demonstrates an expectation, demonstrates a projection for natural gas supply growth that is greatly outpacing expected natural gas demand growth. And so the finding from our perspective is that integrating the AO 2014 into our analysis would not create a conclusion inconsistent with what we've already come to in 2011, which indicates that exports of natural gas generate net positive benefits for the U.S. economy.
Now, has DOE taken an official position on the Gardner legislation?
I'm aware of the proposal. It has not made its way through interagency review, so I'm not in a position to comment on the specifics.